Alright, so this has definitely been one of the weirdest off seasons in terms of a team that is trying to contend for the playoffs next year in the Charlotte Hornets, because honestly, their main goal was to not only get better this season, but it was of course to probably extend their second star in Miles Bridges, find a new starting center, draft a core role player to come help with this team. Again, they didn't extend Miles Bridges for very obvious reasons. They failed to get a new starting center in a DeAndre Ayton or a Miles Turner. And then the players that they drafted, were very odd. I don't know what's going on there. Jalen Duren, of course, would have been a very, very good player for them to have, and they didn't end up going that way. They, of course, decided to go, a different route where I think some people are questioning it a little bit more as well, which I'm not exactly too sure, because, there wasn't a whole lot at the end of the day now that the Charlotte Hornets team could have done besides maybe drafting a center. Again, they didn't go with Jalen Duren. Maybe they just didn't like what they potentially saw out of him. Again, instead they decided to go Mark Williams, who could definitely be a very nice interior defender. But there's another weird thing going on right now where they were being said to actually be looking to try and trade Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward to move from their contracts. Gordon Hayward has been getting, monitored by a lot of teams throughout the offseason, but nothing really happened, and it went very, very quiet for a bit. Some deeming that Gordon Hayward's contract was just untradeable at $30 million with, I think, 2 years left. But now the Miami Heat are reportedly interested in Gordon Hayward and are keeping a close eye on potentially trading for him, and this is all being reported by Sean Devaney. Now, again, losing Gordon Hayward is not going to change the fact that the Charlotte Hornets are most likely not going to be making the playoffs next season. Will it help their long-term cause? I'm not exactly too sure as well, because the reality is you're not exactly going to get that much out of Gordon Hayward. His value is extremely low, and if I was the Charlotte Hornets, what I would probably do right now is do what the Cavaliers did and just keep Kevin Love. Don't trade a pick or something with that player just so you can let off their contract, because the reality is that Miles Bridges is now no longer on the team. They, of course, didn't get a new starting center, meaning that they're desperately going to be looking for a new second option, I think, this season. And even though you'd probably think that Terry Rozier will somewhat, I think, be that second option, I think Gordon Hayward has a very strong case to maybe return to having a 20 point per game type of season where he shoots 40% from three. Again, it was only, I believe, a season or two ago where he actually averaged 19.5 points per game, where he was the second option on the Hornets, and he shot 41% from three. So it's definitely not out of the question that he can't, do that as well. The main thing on boosting Gordon Hayward's value, though, would just be to somewhat keep him healthy, because the reality is he only played 48 games this season and 40 games this season before. He's basically guaranteed to miss half a year. So the expectation, I think, for Charlotte this year would be to automatically make him the second option again, following the departure of Miles Bridges, hoping that he, of course, averages around 20 points per game. And then, of course, I think, you're kind of hoping that he just stays healthy. If he doesn't, there's definitely going to be a lot of worries with that Charlotte Hornets team, because if you lose Gordon Hayward, let's just say, touch on wood that this doesn't happen, but let's just say you lose Gordon Hayward for half a year, right? So you don't have Gordon Hayward now for half a year, you don't have Miles Bridges, you don't have a Miles Turner or DeAndre Ayton who you were supposed to get. You also don't have Montrezl Harrell, who I felt like was very underrated for this team. And you've been constantly trying to shop PJ Washington to the point where there's a lot of rumors that PJ Washington just doesn't really care to play for this Charlotte Hornets team anymore. The reality is, they've also been trying to shop Terry Rozier a lot as well. The only players that are comfortable probably on this Charlotte Hornets team are LaMelo Ball and Mason Plumlee. And Mason Plumlee is not a very good NBA player at this point. A very serviceable backup center, but the reality is he's probably going to have to start a lot of games at center next year, or next season rather, if not the majority of them, just based on the fact that we know Mark Williams probably won't be ready, I don't think, just yet to start at center. If we're looking at the Miami Heat and Gordon Hayward as well, it just doesn't make sense for them to go after him. I think Gordon Hayward would of course be a great player to add to the Miami Heat team, but there's just not anything the Hornets would want. Like, if you're the Miami Heat, you're probably going to be saying, alright, well, maybe we don't want Kyle Lowry anymore because maybe we want the ball back in Jimmy Butler's hands. We're going to run him as a point forward again, this and that, where maybe they would offer up Kyle Lowry. But if you're the Charlotte Hornets, what is the point of taking on Kyle Lowry? You bring on Kyle Lowry, then he has to come off the bench. Unless you decide to do some whack-ass shit where you play Kyle Lowry at the 1, Rozier at the 2, and LaMelo at the 3, which we know is just not going to happen. I don't know why they would be interested in that. I mean, if I was the Charlotte Hornets, I would just rather keep Gordon Hayward's 2 or 3 year terrible contract worth $30 million a season. I still think if there's 2 years left on it, which I think there might be, you could just do what the Cavs did with Kevin Love and try and boost his value all the way up again. See if he can contribute now to the team. And I think the way Gordon Hayward can possibly contribute to the Charlotte Hornets team is just trying to be the second option. But everything this guy does, he just gets injured from it. If you're LaMelo Ball, though, you've got to feel bad for yourself right now because you expected your team to go out there and just do everything they can to try and get better for you this offseason. And unfortunately for you, you've now lost your second option in Miles Bridges. You've lost your 6-man / backup big in Montrezl Harrell. You didn't trade away Gordon Hayward or Rozier for anyone. You, of course, didn't bring in Miles Turner and DeAndre Ayton. It's a little bit of an issue. I still feel like the Charlotte Hornets could be a very good team one day. But there's just so much stuff that's going on. Kenny Atkinson didn't get hired. They ended up going with their old coach. I think it was Steve Clifford. I mean, what is going on with this team? It is very odd. I think if you're the Charlotte Hornets, though, you stay firm with Gordon Hayward at the moment. Unless a team like Utah or someone like that would be willing to take him on and you could bring in a role player or 2 out of Utah. I mean, if you're Charlotte, you could always go up to him and say, we want Bojan Bogdanovic, we want Patrick Beverley, and someone else maybe, and you offer them Gordon Hayward in a first-round pick. They would probably do that. It would boost your team a lot and give you a lot more depth, and I just think that would be an okay option. But the reality is that's probably not going to happen at all. So I think you're just going to have to stay put with Gordon Hayward, and I clearly don't think that's that bad of an issue. You just got to hope he gets healthy again and starts balling out, and hopefully just becomes your second option again. But again, I don't think Miami are going to do this. I think they would, of course, offer Kyle Lowry for Gordon Hayward. I think that would make sense. But Hayward, would he fit in with their defensive system? Would he be on the court at all? Who knows at this point? Against touch wood for Gordon Hayward that he doesn't get injured this season. That would it's going to suck. I know he's going to get injured, but let's just hope it's not serious or anything like that. But of course, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for the latest NBA news and NBA content. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below. Should the Charlotte Hornets try and trade Gordon Hayward? Do you guys think the Miami Heat should try and trade for him? Of course, I would definitely like to know. Don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel, my IRL/vlog channel, and my podcast as well. All of them will be getting linked in the description down below. But as I was saying, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Through the wastelands, through the highways, and